Most of us were taught to see revenue as a straight line, like a funnel.
The whole job, we're told, is to just put more stuff in at the top. More leads, more opportunities.
And then you work like crazy to optimize every single step in the middle.
And if you do that right, you get to close deals at the bottom. It feels logical. It feels predictable.
But what happens when that predictability just vanishes? You know the feeling. You're doing all the right things, but the results, they just aren't there anymore.
And here's the real problem with that old model. It can tell you what happened. It can't tell you why.
To understand the why, you have to look deeper. You have to start seeing revenue not as a simple funnel, but as a system. And making that shift in how you see things, well, that's what we're going to walk through right now. Okay, so let's start with a really important distinction. The models we're all used to are actually pretty good at describing motion, but they completely miss the underlying behavior that's actually driving everything.
And this is absolutely critical. See, motion just describes what happens. A deal moves from stage 2 to stage 3. It assumes the world is stable and predictable. But behavior explains why it happens. It's about how your entire business reacts when conditions change. And that's where you start to uncover the hidden fragility in your growth model.
Now, to be fair, thinking in that linear way isn't necessarily wrong. It actually works incredibly well when the system around it is stable and the pressure to perform is low. When things are calm, a straight line is a perfectly good map to follow.
But here's the key insight. When real pressure hits, maybe a market shifts, or a competitor makes a big move, or you get a doubled growth target, the funnel itself doesn't actually break. The system underneath it does. Your map is still there, but the territory has completely changed under your feet.
And that brings us to something really critical you need to understand about pressure. Pressure doesn't create new problems. All it does is reveal the weaknesses that were already there, hiding just below the surface the whole time.
Let's just walk through how this usually plays out. It starts way back with these foundational decisions you made about your product, your ideal customer, your market. And for a while, everything seems to work. The system feels stable. But then the pressure gets turned up. The board sets these aggressive new targets. And it's only then that the hidden fragility in those early decisions gets exposed, causing all the instability you're feeling today.
This is exactly why missing your targets feels so frustrating, isn't it? It's because it rarely comes from a lack of effort or bad execution in the current quarter. It comes from these fundamental decisions made months or even years ago that were totally fine at a smaller scale, but they just start to crack under the pressure of real growth.
So this brings us to the core idea, the central shift we all need to make, to stop seeing revenue as a sequence of steps and to start seeing it for what it is, a network of decisions.
A sequence is linear. It's focused on activities, make more calls, send more emails. But that view hides the fragility because you can't see the ripple effects of your actions. A system, on the other hand, is dynamic. It's all interconnected, and it forces you to focus on the quality of your decisions. And when you do that, it reveals the true constraints that are really holding back your growth.
So what makes something a system, really? It has 4 key characteristics. First, there's interdependence. This just means everything's connected. A pricing change over here ends up affecting sales compensation way over there. Second, you have feedback loops. Think about it. A bad customer experience today becomes a negative review that hurts your lead flow next month. Third, and this one is so important, constraints. Your growth is ultimately limited by your single weakest link, not by your average strength. And finally, delayed effects. The true consequences of a bad decision today might not even show up in your numbers for 6 months or more.
So let's put that all together into a really clear definition. A revenue system is a network of interconnected decisions and feedback loops that determines your revenue outcomes. And the most important part of that definition is what it's not. It is not a sequence of steps. And this leads us to a really critical warning. If you try to optimize one little piece of this system without understanding the whole thing, you will inevitably make the entire system more fragile. You might think you're solving a problem in marketing, but you're actually creating 2 new ones for sales and customer success down the line.
This connects directly to that feeling I know so many leaders have. That frustrating experience where your team is working harder than ever, but you're getting worse results. It's all about the hidden costs of what we call local optimization.
And here's where the breakdown almost always happens. Systems don't usually fail inside of teams, they fail between them. They fail in those gaps where no one really owns the decisions that connect one team's work to the next. Just think about the last time you missed a big target. I'm willing to bet that every single person was already working harder than ever.
right? That's the tell. It's not a problem of effort. It's a problem of alignment. All that hard work is just getting lost to friction inside the system.
So the most crucial point here is this. Systems do not fail because people stop trying. They fail because the core decisions that are guiding all of that hard work, they just don't align with each other.
So if the problem isn't effort, and it's not tactics, then where do we even look? Well, to see the whole system, you have to look at its structure. That's where the real problems, the real leaks, are actually found.
This means we have to completely redefine what a leak even is. Revenue leaks aren't just isolated failures of a specific tactic. They are the visible symptoms of deep structural misalignments between the foundational decisions of your entire revenue system.
And that reframing leads us really to the most important question of all. If revenue truly is a system, then where do these leaks actually come from?
And that is exactly what we're going to explore next time. We'll dive into the true sources of revenue leaks, and we'll see why most teams with the very best intentions are almost always looking in completely the wrong places.